crossover, issue number 12. So who's ready just to get a little bit masturbatory with this issue? Because this is very self-indulgent, and it's the good kind of self-indulgent. This is the thing I talk about all the time, especially when we do like meta and referential and putting yourself into your own work. There's a good and bad way to do it. We could talk about bad examples all day, but this is a good example. For starters, Donny Cates has enough of an ego where it's not pretentious, but it's also kind of pretentious, and it works really well that way. But I think the part of this issue that I really enjoyed for just being self-referential was the stuff at the beginning. So much like earlier issues when Chip Zdarsky wrote about himself, when Mike Oeming and Brian Bendis came on to do their Powers thing, guess who's back to write about his favorite character in comic books? Robert Kirkman does the first 10 pages of this book. Art by Phil Hester and Klaus Janson, famous people who've done stuff with The Walking Dead before. And guess what? Well, we saw in the last issue that Negan was the character who was going around killing these comic book creators. And we see his first big kill was Robert Kirkman. And I'm like, that, of course it is. Like, why wouldn't it be? You want to talk about like the Mongol, or like the mogul of comic books. It's Robert Kirkman. So we go to, I guess, just Robert Kirkman's offices somewhere. Negan shows up. He's like, yo, dude, I'm going to break all your shit till you come out. So he starts breaking everything. Kirkman just shows up. He's like, oh, shit. It's you. You're going to kill me. He's like, yeah, I'm going to kill you, you dipshit. Like, what do you think of, why else would I be here, you asshole? And it's great. And then Kirkman just starts to laugh a little bit. And he's like, dude, this is kind of funny. I mean, I created you, I guess, for money. And I became like the biggest guy in comics. And then like everything kind of picked up for me and my life went great. So I guess you could say it's just kind of cool to see you here in front of me. And like, yeah, look at where I am now. That's kind of cool. And Negan's just, you stupid, sick son of a bitch. It's super funny, and it works super well. He's just like, I didn't think The Walking Dead would be the biggest hit. It just hit, and then all my other books started to sell, and then I became like the biggest guy in comic books. And then Marvel was like, dude, we need you. And then I didn't need them, and then we did all this stuff, and look where I am now. Like, it was just a zombie book, and with a zombie book, you know, there's just misery and loss and devastation, and that's why your life sucks in that book, because I was trying to make money, and adding story and conflict to you makes it better. And Negan's like, so that's the reason my wife has cancer. That's the reason my world fell apart, is because you wanted to make money and because you wanted to give me some cool backstory. Oh, it's awesome. And that's just it. If you took the villains who have the most tragedy, or even the heroes who have the most tragedy from these stories, I'm sure there'd be a part of them that goes, why are we doing this? Why did you make it this way? Especially if they have no concept of what a comic book is. I think that's an insanely cool premise that it's dealing with really nice here. So Negan's just like, dude, I don't give a shit why you did it or what you do it. And, you know, when you write me, I have a moral code, but you're not writing me now. And we get a beautiful few pages where it's just Negan beating the shit out of Robert Kirkman in the homage to when he killed Glenn. But both eyeballs pop out this time. And he's like, oh, that's a first. That's kind of cool. That's great. Like, that's what you do. Like, I don't know what else you would want to do or what else you'd have in this story happen aside from Negan kills Robert Kirkman. That is the selling it page right there. Like, that is just badass shit. And then when that's all over, Negan, we find out that Negan is the one who's killing all of these comic book creators. Donny Cates is looking at this in his cell. He's like, oh shit, why didn't I think of that? Negan fights the characters from Powers and they have a big crossover? That's badass. He's like, I should tell Bleeding Cool about this. They'll write a story about anything. And when it gets a little too referential there, he looks right off into the panel. He's like, right? Bleeding Cool? You want to write a story about, you know, Negan and Powers crossing over? Oh, it's good. And I honestly would think this is pretentious maybe like 5 years ago. But I'm like, dude, you're really building something special here. You're doing something that actually works. It's very impressive. I commend you for it. But Pembleton's like, dude, I do not have time for your bullshit, whatever game you're playing. Why are you making all this happen? Stop writing this. But Donny Cates is like, I don't know. I'm not writing this anymore. You can't blame me for the faults of what's happening today. But Donny Cates kind of goes a little, you know, just like smart. He's like, I did notice two things. One, you've gotten so bored by all these scenes of people talking in rooms that you've lost track of time. And two, my meds just wore off. So Since Donny Cates is a comic book creator, I guess that gives him omniscient powers, and he uses the exclamation yelling lettering, stabs it into Templeton, and just leaves the room. Locks him in. He's going to go on a mission to do some better stuff. So we see Ellie's cell. Donny Cates uses, he just taps his wrist like he's using some sort of device, but there's no device on his wrist to make any of it work. So he just shows up. He's like, yo, we got to go. And I love this scene. This is the most important scene to me. It's like, she's like, did you cut your hair? He's like, yeah, between panels. The Alan Moore thing was just getting confusing. I'm like, I've literally been saying that since you made that appearance. You looked like a young Alan Moore, dude. That is exactly what you were going for. It's exactly what you got. But guess what? I got Ryan. We're going to go get him. We're going to bring it all together, and we're going to make this work. You want to see what I got for you? Let's go. Cates made himself a character in the book, and now he's working with Ellie and Ryan. I can't be mad at that. Is it obvious? Of course it is. Is it something I'd love to do with my own creations? Of course it is. I think it's cool. It's doing something fun. It's actually trying to be creative in a way that I don't think anybody would be expecting. Props to you, dude. This could have easily fallen apart. But I think the fact that you got Bendis and Zdarsky and Kirkman to come back and write themselves and have fun with themselves and do something that's silly and creative, it's making it work. And if I think it was just a less, nice guy, or if it's just a bigger asshole creator being, arrogant and self-referential in all the worst ways, this book would just be so pretentious and annoying. But it just teeters on that line so well that it just comes across as so naturalistic. And I think that is probably the cooler part of this book to see. I like that a lot. It's actually surprisingly how good it's working. Because these guys, they love comic books. This is a generation that grew up with it. They love it. They respect it. They admire it. So, of course, when they make themselves characters, they know how to do it right. When Bendis talks to the guys from Powers, it's like, dude, why did you make us hate your life? Why do you get scared when Jessica Jones could show up? When Kirkman sees Negan, he's like, you're my favorite to write because I got to be the worst person of myself. When Zdarsky sees himself, he just starts crying like, I hate that my life has become this. That is just so cool to see, and it's working so well. Donnie making himself the protagonist, I did the Alan Moore thing, got me this far. Time to be my, kind of douchebaggery self. Let's see what we got. It's brilliant. It's honestly brilliant, and I commend him for doing that, because it could fall apart easily. And then we see back at the baseball stadium, the Powers people are about to fight Negan. Everything's going well. We see that Negan shoots a blowing dart, and it hits the guy in the head, and he gets passed out. And it just looks like Negan is working with the church because he wants this over with. He met a guy on the inside of the dome with omnipotent power who can make this all good, and he could get his own spin-off where he's flying around like a god and have all this laser power. And we're teasing this powerful guy who is the one above all, essentially. I'm not going to say who it is, because I don't know. I don't think it's Donny Cates. If we say it's not Donny Cates because he's that pretentious idiot, he doesn't know what he's doing. I meant real power. My speculation, again, I don't know. Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, Jack Kirby, could be any of those guys. I think if it's a comic book character that we could use in this world, I don't know. Is there a Jesus in comics? Maybe, Second Coming's Jesus could be it? I don't know. Interesting stuff. So, right before Negan goes in for the kill, Ellie and Ryan show up with Donny Cates, and he got her the Valifax, and he got Ryan a lightsaber. It's a lightsaber. It doesn't look specifically like anybody's lightsaber, but we know it's a lightsaber. That's exactly what it is. He's like, sometimes I still have my moments. It might be overrated, but hey, at least I could do this, and great way to end the book. I adore it. It's brilliant. This is how you do it. If you're going to do this, you're doing it the right way, man. It's working so well. It's becoming such a fun read, and I adore every second of this book. The Kirkman and Negan stuff was brilliant. The stuff with Cates becoming pretty much like the god in this world, being able to use the lettering and the balloons as weapons. It's smart. It's creative. It makes sense. I adore it. Because it's just teetering on the line again. It's is this actually a comic book and it's all a story? Or is this a real world event? It's really cool. It's working really well. And this book, well, I didn't like some of the previous issues. It's still surprising me. And I think that's the part about it I like. It could still surprise me. So crossover issue number 12. I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.